Awesome. Thank you so much. Nitin, if you can share a presentation and we'll go through slides that way. Guys, first of all, thank you very much for gathering this Sunday. I know it's a day off, but you guys choose to come in, and thanks, for Milan for organizing those wonderful events and meetups around the world. And I'm glad to be here because, I like to share knowledge. I like to share experiences with all of you testers within our testing community. And it shows many of you, decided to spend time today with us and learn something new. And that's always, appreciated. And that shows that you guys wants to learn, you wants to advance, you wants to grow professionally and earn many more knowledge in quality assurance and software testing. So thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's start this very, very important topic. I was trying to choose which one will be more exciting. And there's tons of different topics which I could have choose, but I choose this one specifically for a reason, because our industry experiencing some big problems and big issues. And I want to make sure that everybody is aware of those issues, everybody understand how to deal with those issues, and what we as a craft, QA craft, and how we can mitigate and address those issues collectively. If we're going to start working towards resolving them, working towards fighting some of them, and at the same time disseminate those problems and those issues as well, so more people will know what to expect and what to do. Okay, so let's start. Just for those of you who do not know me, my name is Ruslan Desyatnikov. You guys can hear me, right? Because I hear some echoing.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So my name is Ruslan Desyatnikov, founder and CEO of QA Mentor. I've been around in this industry for the last 28 years. I'm personal coach and trainer for various of different Fortune 500 companies, official member of Forbes Technology Council. I'm publishing various of different articles in Forbes magazine around quality assurance software testing. I'm inventor of HIST, Human Intelligence Software Testing methodology, as well as investigative testing methodologies. For those of you who wants to learn more, obviously you guys can follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. We will have various of different workshops, training sessions, webinars, seminars this month, all attributed towards HIST, Human Intelligence Software Testing. Not many of you obviously knows about this latest methodology, which was launched 4 months ago officially, but there's a lot of information out there on our website, QA Mentor website. We have the whole HIST section there. I author various of different e-learning modules. Some of the e-learning modules are free. I gave this away to our testing community, so please, you can find some of those e-learning courses. They're available there. Speaker at various conferences, as well as, we received a number of different awards and recognitions on the umbrella of QA Mentor. So let's start with this very, very important topic. I would like, you guys ask questions later on. I'll try to make this, try to shorter the presentation to leave some room for questions. We have plenty of slides, but let's see what the time permits. How many minutes I have, just to make sure I will watch the time?
30 minutes, Ruslan.
30 minutes?
30,
wonderful.
yes.
Okay, so let's go to the first slide of the presentation. Talks about the problems. All right, so let's discuss, there's tons of problems which we have in the industry. I came up with a list of 16 top problems, which are very, very important to address. So let's start with the first one. So excessive dependence on automation. So we have sort of a virus across the board where every single QA manager, director level of QA, CIO, CTOs wants automation. It's perfect. It's not bad to have the automation. Obviously, it's important to have the automation. Automation boosting our efficiencies, our time to market is really great, but over obsession of the automation is a bad sign. And what I mean by over obsession on the automation is where everybody wants to automate things first only, and automation stands first across the board, where QA manager wants everything to be done in the same sprint, in sprint automation, when there's really not enough budgets for the automation or not enough automation engineers, part of the Scrum teams, but the goal is still the same. Let's automate everything. Let's finish everything within the sprint itself. And everybody is rushing to build that green dashboards and executable metric results and metrics and showcase this to the management instead of really reflect and think, are we really baking quality or just trying to share past execution results on the automation? Are we truly assessing and truly performing and conducting critical thinking, risk analysis, or really truly evaluating new features and new functionalities and testing them, not just to make sure that they're defect-free, but they're really brings and serves the purpose for our customers and clients. That's a big differences. So we can release sprints, we can release major releases, minor releases, we can release bug fixes, and they might be a perfect score there where there is no defect leakage, right? And one might think, well, there's no defects, everything is perfect. Guess what? It's not necessarily is perfect, because if you're not really bringing the products which serves purpose out there for the customers and clients, you're not delivering quality and you're not delivering meaningful functionalities for the users. And that's very, very critical aspect. So over obsession of the automation, extremely harming the quality. And as a result of this, we have not only defects in production, but we have applications and we have products which not really bringing purpose to the users. The second problem is devaluation of manual and human testing. Again, because of the automation everywhere, the human testing, which is the manual testing, and I'm not afraid to call this manual testing, as some of community members, which probably some of them, trying to discredit the word manual. Just think about it. What's the absurdity we got when somebody within our testing community trying to shame a word manual, right? Trying to beat up the word manual, even worse, trying to eliminate the word manual from the lexicon of quality assurance and software testing. To me, manual is not a downgrade, or to me, manual is not worse than the automation or a second degree levels of testing. To me, manual is human. To me, manual is human intelligence. And this is the most powerful asset which we humans have when it comes to testing, right? So the problem which we have within the industry is that people who think that we can only do manual testing, it means it's not enough. It's sort of a low-grade deliverables by the testers, and as a result of this, it's a low-paid job. This is a myth. I don't think that, if you only know manual testing, you actually should get less salary. As a matter of fact, in my organization, in QA Mentor, manual testers, in some cases, receives higher salary than the automation engineers, right? So the problem which we are, forcing out there is the lack of credibility for our own job, because people feel that if they don't know automation, that means that they're not good enough. They might not get the jobs out there, and nobody will hire them just because they're not, technical enough in terms of building the automation scripts or doing the scripted automation. Guess what? Now we're in the era of AI. AI is knocking doors across the board, and as a result of this, simplicity of the automation nowadays become a reality. So you don't need to learn heavy lifting automation scripts or conduct various of different programming languages, tutorials. Nowadays, AI will help us to simplify automation and truly position automation as an easy to build and easy to create abilities, and where everybody will be in a position to help and contribute towards the automation with the help of AI. So once again, in my personal opinion, manual testing needs to leave. Manual testing equals human testing and equals human intelligence testing, which is the most powerful asset which we, testers should possess. The other problem is the shortcut education and training. What has happened, and I was talking about this many years ago, when probably 7, 8 years ago, when we saw everybody's going towards testing. People think that the most easiest IT profession is testing. People were going and taking 2 weeks, boot camps, or 3 weeks boot camps, and they become testing professionals. So we had what happened today in the industry. There's a lot of testers out there. There are a lot of testers who basically build some level of understanding, but that's not in-depth or detailed enough to really call, yourself a smart tester, right? Testing is not just clicking buttons or entering dummy data and, finding some cosmetic issues. Testing is much more than that. It's much more critical. It's much more in-depth. It's much more, which requires a lot of education. There's tons of things within the testing industry which can be taught. And it's not only automation, right? And it's not only performance testing, or it's not only security testing, or it's not only accessibility testing. There's tons of various of different strategies and methodologies and approaches which can be taught to make you a better tester, to make you a stronger tester. So, companies, tend to hire very inexpensive testers, tends to hire, testers who didn't go through a formal education process. And as a result, we have, issues where there's tons of problems happening in production. There's tons of defect leakages happening in production. And, that's where, nowadays, more and more organizations, more and more companies think that, anybody can do testing. Testing is that simple. If after 2 weeks of boot camp, anybody can transfer who didn't have even a previous professional education through bachelor degrees in computer information systems and computer sciences. People were switching to testing, from different fields, which I have personally no problems. Some people take very serious approach, and some people really learn as they go, and some take shortcuts and learn just basic things, and they become testers. And as a result, those testers who really didn't, groom themselves or didn't get the proper experience, hurting our craft. This is obvious where nowadays, QA departments are getting vanished. QA leaders are getting laid off. Anybody who wants to save money within the IT immediately selects testers or QA departments, quality assurance professionals, and cutting the budgets because they think that anybody can do testing, including the business users, or worse, even the actual users in production can do testing and find problems, and developers will fix the issues. So this is all wrong mentality. This is all hurting the craft. This is all creating a bigger problems, which will, unfortunately damage the craft and continuously eliminate many positions out there. Let's go to the next slide. So the other major problems are misaligned metrics. I've been a strong advocate for metrics. I had a number of workshops conducted, which you guys can check and see on a YouTube channel of QA Mentor, where I guide and train on various of different metrics. Unfortunately, now QA craft metrics is viewed more as micromanagement elements, which is absolutely nonsense. You don't generate or you don't create metrics thinking that, metrics will help you just to manage and micromanage your guys, right? Or who creates most of the test cases or identifies most of the defects will get the rewards or get the bonuses or salary increases. This is the absurdity of this. Although, some of the managers are leveraging and using those metrics towards, defining productivity levels as well as the performance levels of testers. Metrics are much more than that. Metrics needs to be guiding you to make strategic decisions, to make conclusions, to make ways to understand where you're going in terms of quality, in terms of productivity, in terms of the value add. Metrics gives you the insights on what's going on, what is wrong, how you can improve, what actions you need to take in order to improve certain things. I'm a very big advocate of metrics. Every of my decisions, outcomes within QA Mentor, as well as our own QA Mentor teams, managing by metrics. They manage projects. They providing and share visibility. I always say metrics never lie. People do. Metrics, if it's gathered properly, is the most honest visibility. It's like your mirror. You can see yourself in the mirror. You can see metrics, a reflection of the quality of the applications, reflections of the processes, reflections of your discipline, of your organizational aspects within Scrum teams, within overall software development lifecycle. So metrics not evil, even though you hearing in our community metrics, are useless. Metrics never provide a clear picture. You don't need to be, thinking about the metrics. Unfortunately, people who are afraid of metrics or talks about metrics negatively are those who tend to be lazy people, who tend to be people who don't want to showcase their productivity, their outcomes, their benefits, and the benefits they bring to the customers and clients. Those people who talks too much, they don't like metrics. Metrics are for those who really wants to continuously improve things, and for those who wants to see a true picture of what's the situation is out there. So I will be having multiple workshops attributed to metrics and how metrics actually can bring value to decision makers. why they need to understand and how metrics actually can map to the business value, how metrics actually are mapping to the revenue generation, how metrics is actually maps to clients acquisitions, how metrics and what we do as a quality assurance and testers are actually bringing value to the customers who might leave you and go to some other customers and clients to leverage their products. So everything is maps to the metrics, and we can easily see all the things which we don't even envision how metrics are contributing to a bottom line for the organizations, how metrics within quality phase can map to the business metrics on the business sides, which is the revenue generation, which is the revenue profitability margins, which are directly maps to the quality and directly maps to success of the applications out there. Lack of business alignments, right? Too many QA professionals see themselves as the bug hunters or bug identifiers, right? One of our, critical function is, yes, to find the defects, but that's not the only the value proposition, right? We need to think of the risk mitigators. We need to mitigate the risks, right? The risks are there which can hurt the business. The risks are there which can penalize the business. The risks are there, for instance, when we talk about accessibility testing. Just think about it. If you miss some accessibility problems and not identify them, you're risking to get a lawsuit for your organization. You know how many lawsuits are there in regards to accessibility testing? Do you know how many lawsuits are there when it comes to security penetration testing when it's not done the proper way? Do you know how much damages are there when your application is not usable enough or it's confusing, where the users are saying, well, this application, I cannot really follow it through. It's so confusing that, I better leave this and go to some other competitors who have a much more self-intuitive application, which is much more user-friendly. Do you know how much damages are happening because of those specific areas? So you have to view yourself not just as a defect identifier, but much more than that. Testing is much more than just finding the defects. You actually are contributing to the success of the product. When you will position yourself to be a value add to a product itself, to make the product mature, to make the product successful out there, and you contributing towards those functionalities, towards those enhancements, towards those recommendations on how to improve certain things within the functionality itself or within usability itself. This is totally different than just finding the defects or creating the test cases, right? We lost respect for QA, unfortunately. Many organizations sees QA as a bottleneck, right? We seeing as the activity which slowing things down. Because of QA, people think, well, the time to market problem is there, right? So this is all wrong, unfortunately, assumptions. And this is the assumptions which we sometimes as a craft help to bring to the surface, right? So the problem is, the leadership cuts QA always first because of the budgets, right? And it's all over the place right now. You would not believe what we see, and we're dealing with, over 400 clients. And, I'm talking to various of different CIOs, CTOs, and director levels of QA everywhere right now, unfortunately. And that's the reason why we start talking about those critical problems is QA is the first to go. And it will be continuation if we will not do something and we will not play a different game, we will not start, disseminating the right information and sharing the right information for the decision makers and prove the case that without QA, you will hurt your business. Without QA, you will not generate as much revenue as you could. Without QA, you will not have successful retention of your clients, right? Without QA and proper QA, you will not achieve, low attrition when the customers will start leaving, the product. Let's go to the next slide, Nitin, please. So what does it mean, illusion of quality, right? Illusion of quality is when we think that the testing is done, all the test cases are executed, regression testing is done and executed, thousands of scripts are executed through the means of automation, and then we go live and we still see problems, we still see issues, we still see complaints, we still see situations where the clients are leaving. Do you know how many times the application got released and then the customers call us? We were not responsible for testing those applications, but the clients called us and they said, Ruslan, can you help us to understand why after installing a mobile app or why after installing a game, clients are leaving within the first two minutes? Clients, just installed the application and they start leaving and never came back. Imagine, never came back to use the product. Or customers starting a free trial and never activated the paid version. Those are the problems. Not necessarily quality-related problems, but the functionality-wise, the richness of the functionalities is not there. The importance of solving the business problems through the applications, through the functionalities is missing within the applications. Those are the problems. So illusion of quality is there when we showcasing metrics and showcasing, well, we have all the test cases passed, but when you release the software, when you release the product, the platform, the release, the sprint, you see those issues where customers are not using your product, or you have a very low acquisitions of your customers after they install the free trial or, download the application to your phone. You understand? So that's the, unfortunately, the false illusion where we think we're under regression testing. We executed all the 1,000 test cases. What can potentially go wrong? But guess what? How do you know that your regression testing suite is actually covering all the angles? How do you know that statistically you have a sufficient coverage? How do you know that you're not missing the negative scenarios and H scenarios? How do you know that you're not missing a business rules validation scenarios? How do you know that? Just simply because you have a number associated with the regression test cases and it shows 100% pass rate? That's not really the case. We have fragmentations of roles. What does it mean, fragmentations of roles? Fragmentations of roles is when there is a confusion between what is quality assurance, what is testing, what is quality control, what is quality engineering, what is it as that roles versus the typical quality assurance engineer roles, right? Testers dilutes accountability there because the concept of quality is disappearing. Just imagine nowadays, look at any job requirements. Every single job requirements wants and puts automation in it. This is a heavy lifting responsibility for every job. But guess what? Do you know that in most of the jobs, you didn't even have time to get into the automation. You didn't even have time to do a manual testing and find defects. Imagine that. You don't have time for this. Where are you going to get the time for the automation? And guess what? Nowadays, for some reason, everybody's looking for the Superman or Superwoman out there. Everybody wants to see that you do everything as part of the quality assurance roles. Everybody wants you to build manual test cases. Everybody wants you to test manual and verify functionality. Everybody wants to find defects. Everybody wants you to automate things within the same sprint. Everybody wants you to run regression testing. Everybody wants you to fix broken scripts because there's code changes are there. Everybody wants you to do everything at the same time. How's it possible? I'm a strongly believer of the roles segmentation. What means role segmentation is, just think about it. I don't know if how many of you are soccer fans. In soccer, you have goalkeeper playing the goalie. You have the defenders playing the defense, and sometimes they might go into the midfield and try to help attackers as well. You have the offense, right? You have left wing, right wing, everybody playing their role, everybody playing their positions. Everybody have their own responsibilities within the team, and collectively they support each other, and the collective goal is to win and score, right? Just imagine if the goalkeeper was supposed to score goals and also defend and play in the midfield. You cannot do that. You cannot train a goalkeeper to be a forward. You cannot train a goalkeeper to be a Ronaldo or Messi and score the goals. You cannot do that. That goes against the principles. The same applies to the testing. I don't agree where everybody's looking for that Superman and Superwoman. There is no such a thing as Superman and Superwoman, including the non-functional testing, where everybody wants a person also be a security penetration tester, as well as accessibility tester, as well as the performance test engineer, and everybody other roles included in the same, and also know how to estimate and also knows how to manage and coordinate projects. There is no miracles. Cannot do that.
I have to interrupt you to let you know that you have 5 minutes. Right.
5 minutes. Excellent. We're not going to cover everything, but I don't want to leave certain important topics. Ignoring of static testing and preventing and leveraging this as a defect prevention. Look how many out there who are not doing static testing, who are ignoring static testing, who are taking requirements for granted, who are not identifying issues and problems at the earliest stages when we can prevent things from happening within the requirements itself. Most teams are not doing that religiously, and that creates a problem. That's, instead of preventing problems, instead of truly playing a shift left role, we start testing at the end of the cycle when we're trying to be heroes and save the day by finding the defects, instead of eliminating those issues, starting from the requirements gathering phase, adding the value while you can, challenge the requirements and identify the issues and defects within the requirements itself. Let's move to the next slide, Nathan, please. You skip, I think. We should be at the 10th. Second, I'm trying to look at my slides and the Nathan slide. Yeah, let's do that, and we pause. I unfortunately will not be able to cover everything today, but at least I hit some of the big problems there. So QA is viewed as a cost center rather than a value driver. What does it mean? Again, executives, unfortunately, not all, but many out there sees QA as the overhead. They see this as a cost center. Cost center means that they need to spend tons of money on QA. Yes, QA costs money, but that's the investment. It's an investment because you can get a very, very, very huge ROI on that investment if done properly. That realization of ROI is not visible because we as a testing craft not showcasing this. We simply not trained to showcase that value add. I will be conducting a workshop specifically where I'm going to train how to actually showcase how we as a testing function creating the value for the business. What metrics we need to showcase and how metrics actually maps to the revenue generation. to the client's retention, to much more than what we typically showing, where the CEO looks, okay, I see you have no defects, but how does this actually relate to the business value, right? How this actually creates and generates more revenue. This is what I'm looking for. The CEOs, Chief Operation Officer, Chief Financial Officer, all of the C-level executives, they're looking for this. And unfortunately, we're not trained to showcase what they're looking for. We're going to showcase and we're going to train you guys absolutely free of charge how to do that, because I want more people to actually share this. And when more people in our industry, in our QA craft will share this with the decision makers, with the CEOs, CIOs who are making those decisions on elimination of QA or on investing into QA, we'll realize that and we'll understand this and we'll value QA more. I want to stop here. I want to give a chance to ask questions. I know we didn't cover some of those other critical cases, but we'll have more of those discussions. You guys can watch me some of the other videos. I can address some of those problems as well. So any questions, guys, from your side? I want to address some of the questions now.
Help you describe that, Ruslan. I know there is a lag of few seconds, but I don't know how many points you had for critical problems in QA industry. If I was doing this with you, I would come up with thousands of problems. How people see QA as and what they actually do. Like Ruslan, you were mentioning about the ROI, how we relate to business. QA is not cost center, it's a delivery center. We deliver automation, testing, function testing. We are just trying to get on this training, Ruslan. In the meantime, did anyone become curious? Did it relate to any of your problem? We want to just add any questions. Anyone has any questions?
Don't be shy, guys. I mean, this is a brainstorming session.
Okay. So other than what you saw, oh, there is a question, I think. What's your name? Yeah, Abhishek has a question for you.
So the question is that on on which basis that we decide the tool for the QMs, like it can be manual or any automation tool, as the client also suggests a few tools are there which they had gone through. Those are also required to them, and also they're asked to suggest, like you suggest which tools will be best suitable for our business or the CRM, or let's say the software that they are working on. So what scenarios do we need to consider? Do we need to consider the budget, the timeline they had given, or the team that we are having with the different knowledge of the tools? So what do we need to consider at that time? Like to suggest the best tool, which we are having in-house as well, the resources of that particular tools, and also suits to their budget, and also the timeline, and also we need to cover all the business perspective that they are having.
So if I thank you so much, first of all, for the question. I couldn't hear everything very well because of the echo, but if I understood correctly, your question is asked when it comes to automation or tool selections within our software development life cycle, what tools and what the process behind we should choose in order to select the appropriate tool for us to leverage and utilize. Is that the question? Is that what was asked, or I misunderstand?
Yes. Also, you need to cover the business perspective of the client as well, like what software they are currently developing. That also need to be covered. Like that functionality also need to cover in that tool the maximum coverage of we can say. And also the licensing cost should be there in their budget, along with the timeline that they are having.
Correct. So again, it's a big question, and it's the whole topic by itself. I wrote a number of articles of how you should choose and what you should choose when it comes to the automation strategy, right? How you need to align everything and do prerequisites before you even start on automation. So again, I don't know if I can cover this in, in a couple of minutes, but let me try to explain. So obviously everything is based on the budgets. Sorry, somebody was saying something?
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, so obviously everything maps to the budget, right? There's open source tools and there's some of the very good tools which can be leveraged without spending a dime. And there's also a very sophisticated enterprise level tools, right? Now, obviously, the difference between open source tools and enterprise level tools, that enterprise level tools are more powerful and more richer in functionalities, right? I mean, if we compare, Selenium, which is free out there, and then we can compare with some other enterprise level tools like Test Complete or Ranorex, right? And others, you can do this, you can achieve the same thing at the end of the day. You can automate manual test cases, right? But with the enterprise level tools, you can, I would say, achieve things a little bit easier, quick, and that's the reason why they possess more functionalities. But when it comes to automation specifically, and if we're talking about automation when it comes to, and there are different levels of automation, right? We can automate things at the API level. We can automate things at the UI level. We can automate things at the backend database level. We can automate things for the test data management and generation. We can do automation across the performance as well as security penetration testing. So there's multiple areas when it comes to the automation. But the main important thing, when it comes to the automation is the future and strategic support in the future, right? Because you might have not technical people within your organization, within the testing team, then if you shoot for scripted automation, you might not be successful unless you would need to hire expert, scripted automation framework, gurus. Now, if your team still wants to proceed with automation, but they're not savvy in scripting or programming, programming languages, then you can choose a little lighter route, which is scriptless or codeless automation, which does not require heavy lifting scripting and knowledge, right? At the same time, nowadays, there's a number of products which are completely substituting the scripting and leveraging the AI for it, where you can simply generate automation scripts through prompting, simple talking as you talk with ChatGPT and asking, the tool to create specific scripts, right? So now we are at the phase where automation becomes much less complicated and complex. And that's where I stand for, because I strongly believe that automation should be an enabler for us to do things much quicker and faster and easier. We should not do heavy lifting scripting because it's time consuming. It takes time. So the tools which will be driving in the future, are the AI, which will have those capabilities. Obviously, they need to become mature. We also need to control and be always within the loop itself to make sure the outputs of those tools are validated properly. But my strong belief is that we will be much quicker and faster and more productive and more effective with the AI enabled tools. And that's the direction forward. And this is what you guys need to look for, because the old-fashioned scripted automation technologies might be, within the next 3 years, no longer be there. I mean, that's my prediction. The time only will tell. But my direction for my team at QA Mentor is looking strategically into the AI tools and identify easier, quicker tools which will help us to be more productive. Any other questions, guys?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Ruslan. This is 𝗜𝗱𝗂𝘀𝗀𝗂. So you raised a point about QA is not talking the definition of business, like risk reductions and cost, less and other things. But my point is, many of the times we are not reporting to a C-level suit. we are reporting to a person much lower in hierarchy. Even if we are working in that sense, there is no appreciation for that. In that case, and many a times the methods that we are talking about, they are controlled or directed by the project management office, the PMOs. So, in such a case, as a QA practice, solution of the roadmap should follow.
Can somebody rephrase the question? It was breaking up. I couldn't hear maybe 60% of it.
Let's try to reframe it and let me confirm. So it's the traditional thing where we know what the right tools are, but we don't take the decision.
There was a point that QA is not talking in terms of business, like big production. Correct. We are taken the cost center. Yes. But maybe we are talking in terms of business. We are not according to the C-suite. We must downward. When there is not much appreciation for it. And then second is metrics. Whatever metrics we are defining, it is not QA because it is teamwork.
Yeah, the hierarchy of it's a two-sided question. I don't know. I think the first one is interesting where QAs are really good at talking business language, ROI, but then they are reporting these stats to middle management, not the C-suite, right? Now that becomes a problem. You have everything, but the message is not going up. So the messaging problem is step one, right? And the second one is where
if we try to solve it with metrics. So metrics are nowadays like many organizations performed by PA.
Yeah, and they do not match their KPIs, right? So second part of the question is even if we go with metrics, they go to PMO, who are the decision makers, but their KPIs are different from what the QA business driven metrics are. And this is a kind of a situation I think where we are, we want to pass on this message to higher management and how can we make them understand? And you have two different, these very tricky and real situations. So do you have faced any such situations with your teammates or where the message is not getting passed to the right people, or even if the message is right?
Absolutely. And I think it's a great question because everything boils down to who is talking to decision makers, right? If you have a manager, right, then it's in the manager's, abilities to be able to translate the message or the metrics message to the right individuals, to the senior level executives, right? Now, and this is where the important problems takes place, is where we as a testers, even though you might not be a manager, you might not be at the director level, right? But it's our responsibility, you might say, and you might laugh, to educate your manager, your director level person, where you might think, well, but this guy should know, or this lady should know more, right, about this. But unfortunately, they don't know. And that's normal. Do you know that, I've been in QA for 28 years. 15 years ago, before I started QA Mentor, I also didn't talk that language with executive. I didn't know simply that language. It took me a long time to realize, after that big experience, to realize why people still don't understand how quality can be mapped to the business value. And it's very difficult to showcase this. It's not that simple that you're going to show this one metric and then they will say, oh, okay, I got it. I understand it, right? So it's education. It took me 28 years to educate the importance of quality for the decision makers, why independent, unbiased QA is super important. People still don't get it. People still don't understand why there is a need for it, because there are still companies and big organizations which simply don't have a QA at all function, independent function. Imagine that. I mean, they're still operating, they're still successful as the company, but they simply don't do that, right? So it's a very, very difficult task to help and share that metrics and that information first to a managers, and also, make them your voice, make them be able to go, because at some point they talking at some levels, right? I mean, gotta be somebody talking at least with the CIOs as CTO, not necessarily. And that's another problem, which I didn't get to it, where I said that testers lost the voice at the executive table. We're no longer there. It used to be, some of you who been there, maybe 15 years ago, it used to be a testing center of excellence. It was a fantastic idea. Do you know why? The testing center of excellence was unbiased entity within the organization, which was not influenced by anybody. Right now, we influence by who? I mean, CTOs, CIOs are the top, right? So even, we not reporting directly to CTO, CIO, we might be reporting to the Scrum Master or product owner or development manager nowadays in many, many organizations. We still have a QA manager, but QA managers are also reporting to the CTO, CIOs, right? So, well, who's going to go against the CTO or CIO, right? Who's going to go and try to prove something? Because people will be afraid they're going to lose the job if they're going to go against somebody, right? So we lost that very important unbiased position at the table, where director level of QA at some levels before were at the same level of CIO, CTOs. Director level of QA were respected the same way as a development manager, and they were peer at the table, and they had the voice at the table. Right now, the voice is not there. Right now, what's happening is we only providing informal decision on the quality of the application, and other people decide. Well, business always decides whether the release should go in or not. Yes, I agree. Business owns us. Business pays us for this, right? But at the same time, if we don't have a delegate from our side who will represent us at the table, who will be honest there, really honest, and bring all the risks meaning which can potentially harm the business. Who's going to talk about this? Nobody will talk about this. Everybody waiting for the release to go live. Everybody wants to meet the deadline. All the customers are waiting for this release. Everybody wants to get this out of the door. But somebody, and that's us on the quality side who really truly care about the quality, should say, guys, wait a minute. Here's the 3 risks, or here's the 5 risks. And this is how this risk is attributed to the future, compliances, or to the future potential lawsuits, or to the future, clients, loss. Think about it. Now, let me talk about those 3 risks. I want you to acknowledge this risk. If you're okay with this, take it to production. If you think that risk is serious, which we need to mitigate this first before moving to production, then again, it's up to you. But at least if I'm at that table, I will voice that voice. Right now, I actually wrote an article on LinkedIn with a cartoon style where I have the tester or QA manager sits at the table before the planned release goes live with the zipper on his mouth. Nobody allows them to talk. Nobody wants them to talk, one thing, but the second thing, people afraid to talk. Just imagine, you're going to start bringing problems and harm the release from going live. Look, how many people will say, what are you saying? Because of you, we didn't meet the deadlines. Because of you, business didn't get this on time. Because of you, you got to be let go next time because you opened your mouth. People afraid. And I don't blame people for that. Yes, because it's scary out there to lose the job. Because I saw people lose the job just because of that. Okay? So it's different for me to raise this because I have no bosses, right? I'm a CEO of the company. So it's
You are very lucky for
to
that.
say that. And it's not easy for you to say that. I do get it. But we still need to be honest with ourselves and with others out there, because we protect value for the customers. We fight for them, right? So I would still voice it nicely and reasonably, not screaming loud, oh, why are you going live? but do it the right way with the right
Okay.
balance.
I would just add to that. So in my experience, what I did, I was kind of reporting to engineering managers. So I didn't have a QA director and all that. And they had a perception, like, because they were 30 years experience, we're like, oh, automation is just click testing. We don't understand that is no value. So I started making videos and posting it on Slack, back to back. Then the people started understanding. The developers started seeing values in it. So that was one way of communicating where the message passed on without me screaming in the room. Like, because screaming in the room might be dangerous. You might lose your job. I don't know, right? Ruslan coming from 28 years of experience, he has seen everything pretty much. But I think this is the next upcoming challenges for QA leaders. You have the message, you understand the business, but then you have these bottlenecks. How to cross it? I do that by, it's called as positive influencing with the peers, and that works in some time, not just on the day one time. So Ruslan, we are on time for your talk. Do we have last question and a quick answer? Anyone in the room? I think we have one last question.
Can you hear me? Are you? Ruslan Prashant here. Hey, what? Can you hear me? I think it's done. Is frozen? I think so.
Okay, we give it 3, 2, right. Okay. No worries. So, if Ruslan comes back, we'll have Prashant's last question and make sure that is being answered.
It's back.
So, we have two options.
It's back.
Do you want to take a quick bite? Are you back?
So sorry, I lost connection. I always make a fun of my guys. I said we can only lose connections in India, but not in United States. But guess what? In United States, we can also lose the connection.
Ruslan Prashant here.
Yes, Prashant.
Hey, so my question is on AI. Basically, it's seeking your guidance. So we, in an era of AI right now, where we're continuously with AI. From the era we have Terminator movie for Arnold Schwarzenegger, the era of machines, and then we have when AI really hit it. We have the IBM, the Deep Blue computer beating the legendary 𝗘𝗅𝗽𝗂𝘀 that time, right? So now that's the era of AI. We are all working towards enhancing the best practices. According to you, what's the next wave with AI? I know a lot of talks are there about job losses or QAs shown the door, or maybe even QA enhancing it with the QA with the AI tools. So what's your take? What's the next wave? Your gut feeling.
What's the next wave with AI? What's going to happen, right, with the AI?
Yeah.
It's a great question, and I've been asked this question, on multiple different forums because everybody kind of skeptical about AI and worried about AI at the same time. So AI is a great thing, in my opinion. Obviously, if you use it the right way, AI can harm people and society as well if you will start using it irresponsibly. But in my opinion, I see AI as a strong help and a strong solution and a strong ammunition for QA testers, not a replacement. Now, it can be a replacement. It will replace unprepared and weak testers. Weak testers means who are currently button clickers, button pushers, dummy data inserters, those without human intelligence. And that's the reason why I keep talking about human intelligence, and we didn't get to that topic yet on HIST, human intelligence software testing, which is the most powerful tool. This is much stronger than AI. There is nothing more stronger than your human judgments. Okay, this is my opinion, personal opinion. So AI definitely will evolve. AI definitely will mature and will bring a lot of interesting productivity boosters, quality boosters, and various of other things. The only thing is AI will never be able to do is provide that judgments, that human insight, that human aspects on the usability front, that sort of a seventh sense of human which can evaluate the product and truly explain and say, well, this is what I personally think, because we build product for humans, right? We're not building product for AI operators, right? So if we build product for humans, the human need to evaluate and provide that sort of final conclusion and final decision. So I'm looking always for AI as a helping hand to get us more stronger. Just think about it. If you go to the war, right, you might be a strong person, you might have a big, you might know all of this martial arts and everything else, but without the equipment, without guns, ammunition, you're vulnerable there. You're going to get killed. So if you will have that ammunition, smart ammunition, right, which you can rely on, you can go far on the war, right? I mean, sorry, bad analogy, but that's basically what it is. So I believe strongly, if only you're not going to be lazy, where you're going to say, well, let's leave this on AI and AI will do for me. Yeah, AI can generate manual test cases for you, but guess what? Are you going to take it for granted and accept this? Or you're going to review, trust but verify, and make sure that it's indeed covering all the angles. And you might challenge the AI because what about this business rules? Why the test scenario was not defined there? So you will never be able to rely 100% on AI because it's just by default, it's built to hallucinate, right? Same as a person. Sometimes we hallucinating, right? Our mind's hallucinating when we are super tired, right? It's not the same as you woke up and you have a fresh mind, right? So it's always will be the case, but you should never let AI make decisions for you. You should own those decisions. You should be the one who will validate and verify the outputs and make the final determination and final decision. Because at the end of the day, you will not say, oh, that's the AI's fault. I'm sorry, it's not me. It's the AI. No, it's going to be you, because behind is you and then the AI, and you always stand behind. So the principles of the successful products and the future is always human in the loop. You got to be there in control. You got to be there to guide. You got to be there to analyze, review, approve, and finalize things. And with that concept and utilization of AI tools, you're going to go far. You're going to be armed, and you're going to be a very, very strong quality assurance professional out there. Okay?